Alright, let's show user. User is Scott. Set lines 100. Set pages 100. And set wrap off. Clear screen. Alright, so now we're going to learn how to combine columns. It's called concatenate. Now if you look at your keyboard, above the enter button, you should see a pipe. If you hold shift and that pipe, you'll get that pipe. Double pipe is how you combine columns. So if you describe EMP, what if I wanted to combine ename and job, but in one column? This is how you do it. Select ename, so that's column 1, space or no space, either or, double pipe, and then the next column, job, from EMP. Smith is a clerk. Allen is a salesman. Jones is a manager. Look, pay attention right here. Column 1, double pipe, column 2. Alright, so let's describe EMP. Let's say you want to combine name and salary. Select ename, double pipe, sal from EMP. Now in this case I didn't put a space in between the column and the pipe, but it's the same concept. Column 1, double pipe, column 2. Smith 800, Allen 1600. We're going to clean these up and I'm going to show you how to customize what you put in the column. But one thing I want you to pay attention to is the fact that it's one column in the output. It's not two columns. In the syntax of the select statement we have two columns, but the output is one column because the combiner or the concatenator combines the columns. Describe EMP. I want you to combine name and hire date. Now normally if I ask you for name and hire date, it would be select ename hire date from EMP. Two separate columns, ename and hire date, ename hire date, with a comma separating the two columns. But what if I wanted these two combined in one column? Well, that's going to be select ename double pipe hire date from EMP. Column heading, we're going to do an alias to clean that up in a second, but as you can see, Smith got hired in December of 1980. This is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You can't really read that, but we'll clean that up. So let's describe EMP. Let's do a couple more of these. Go ahead and combine the person's employee number and the department number. All right. So select EMPNO, double pipe, DEPTNO from EMP. Now this is just going to be a bunch of numbers. The first 4 digits is the employee number and the last 2 digits are the department number. So this is just for training purposes, but this doesn't make any sense. But as you can see, the name of the column heading is based on what was in the syntax. All right, we're talking about the concatenator. Concatenator, we're combining everything. All right, let's do one more. Go ahead and select the person's name and their manager, the manager code. So it's going to be select ename, comma, well, not comma, sorry, ename double pipe, MGR from EMP. So that's the person. So Smith works for somebody or works underneath somebody who has an employee ID of 7902. All right. And remember, we can do aliases to this too. Let's describe EMP. Give me everybody's name and job. So it's going to be select ename, comma, job from EMP. We've done this a million times already, so this is very simple. But what if I wanted to combine these, ename and job, into one column? Well, double pipe concatenate. Select ename, double pipe, job from EMP. Smith is a clerk, Allen is a salesman. Let's clean this column heading by doing an alias. So the alias is going to come right here. And you can use as or you can use quotes, whatever you want to do. So select ename, double pipe, job, and I'll just say as. We'll say quote name and title from EMP. Now we don't need to go over aliases again, but ename concatenated with job, that's what makes these two, that's what makes the output in one column, because this eliminates the fact that it's two separate columns. As, and since it's more than one word in the alias, we have quotation marks, and as you can see, that's the name of the column. And of course, if I hit the up arrow, we don't need the as for alias. We can just get rid of as, hit enter, it's the same thing. So if you're a little confused on alias, go ahead and watch the tutorial on aliases. What if I wanted this to be easier to read and I wanted a space between their names? That's where we're going to do two separate double pipes. So it's going to look like this. Let's clear the screen. Select ename, double pipe, quote, space, quote, double pipe. Job from EMP. Now it's Smith space clerk. The reason for the space is because if you put a single quote in between the double pipe, whatever is in between the quotes will be in the output. What if I wanted two spaces there? Well, it's going to be select ename, double pipe, single quote, space, space, single quote, double pipe. Job from EMP. Now it's two spaces. All right. So get in the habit of doing this. Select ename, double pipe, quote. Double pipe, quote. That's going to start whatever string of digits or spaces or commas you want in there. So select ename. And remember, you don't need a space. You can do from here. Double pipe, quote. Put whatever you want here and then space, quote, double pipe. All right. When you close it, it's going to be quote, double pipe. So double pipe, quote. Let's do three spaces. 1, 2, 3. Quote, double pipe. And then the other column, which is job from EMP. 3 spaces. Now, what if we wanted the last name, comma, and job title? Very, very simple. All right. Select ename, double pipe, quote. Let's do comma. We don't want a space before the comma. So comma, space, and then quote, double pipe. Job from EMP. Now it says the last name, comma, space, job title. Why is it comma, space? Because after the quote, the first thing that's there is a comma. The next thing is a space, and then we close it out. Notice the quotes, the single quotes don't end up anywhere. All right. Now, what if instead of comma, we wanted to say Smith and the words is a clerk? Smith is a clerk. Well, very, very simple. Select ename, double pipe, quote, and then space is a, and then space, quote, double pipe, job from EMP. Smith is a clerk. The reason why I put the space before the is and a space after the a is because you want to see a space between these two words just so you can read proper English. Alan is a salesman. Why is it is a? Because that's exactly what we put between the quote. All right, let's clear screen. What if I want you to show me everybody's name and how much money they make? So that's if you describe EMP. That's going to be ename and salary. All right. So before we do any, let's do this first. Select ename, double pipe, sal from EMP. This doesn't make much sense. You can see it, but Smith 800, what does that mean? There's no $sign. There's nothing. So I wanted to say Smith makes $sign and how much they make. All right, so that's going to look like this. Select ename, double pipe, quote, space, makes, and I'm going to put the $sign and end the quote. I'm not going to do $sign space, but I'm going to put $sign and then end it and then double pipe Sal from EMP. Smith makes $800. Scott makes $3,000. Now, obviously, we can do an alias to clean up the column heading, and you know why the column heading looks the way it looks. It's because that's the way the select statement was written in the syntax. All right. So the reason why I didn't put a space after the $sign. Well, let's put a space after the $sign and see what happens. It looks kind of weird now. There shouldn't be a space after the $sign, and the only reason why we see that space is because I put a space before closing out what was inside the concatenator, the double pipes. All right, so let's clear screen. Describe EMP. All right, let's say I want everybody's name and their hire date in one column, but I wanted to say Smith was hired on, and then the hire date. Very, very simple. Select ename, double pipe, and remember, it doesn't have. We can do space, 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 space. It doesn't matter. Double pipe quote space was hired on, and then space end it. And even if I put multiple spaces here, as long as the next thing SQL sees is the double pipe, and then hire date from EMP. Smith was hired on, and then the hire date. All right, and as you can see, the column heading is a mess, but we'll clean that up. So let's do that again without all the spaces. So select ename, double pipe quote space was hired on space. Let's close out the quote. So select ename quote space, and this is what you're typing in, was hired on space quote, and let's put hire date. Let's put a space there just to make it easier to read. Hire date from EMP. Same exact result as earlier. The only difference is I didn't put all the spaces in the syntax just to prove a point. You can put all these spaces, it doesn't matter. SQL knows what it's looking for, and when it finds it, it'll give you the same output. Select ename, double pipe, concatenate. So this I'm saying double pipe, but it's the concatenator. So double pipe, single quote, whatever string of words or numbers or variable characters you want inside the quote, and then close it, double pipe, and then the second column you want to combine it with from the table. Smith was hired on. There. So let's give it a nice little alias. So we'll say name and hire date. So we'll say select ename, double pipe. Instead of saying was hired on, let's just do comma, space, and then close it out. So I want to see everybody's name and hire date separated by a comma. I want to see everybody's name and hire date separated by a comma. There it is. Smith, comma, space, hire date. Name and hire date separated by a comma. Double pipe, single quote, comma, space, because we want that space here. And then close it out, hire date. And let's just give it an alias. Select ename, double pipe, quote, comma, space, quote, and close it with the double pipe. Hire date. And we'll just say as name and hire date from EMP. And because I put it in quotes, the alias in quotes, I'm sorry, because the alias is more than one word, I put it in double quotes. Remember, these are single quotes, but this has to be in double quotes. So the column that is retrieved is one column. Why is it one column? Because we're using the concatenator. Name and hire date is at the top of the column as the column name because we used an alias. And the last name, comma, space, hire date is the way the output was displayed because that's how we specified it in between the concatenator. So the moral of the story is if you want to put anything in between the two columns, even a space, you're going to have two separate concatenators. You're going to have single quotes and whatever you want in between there. But if all you want to do is combine name and, all you want to do is combine two columns, then you don't need two separate concatenators. If you want name and ID, it'll be select ename, double pipe, EMPNO from EMP. So all you're going to see is Smith and the employee number. Blake, employee number. Because we don't want anything in between it. Now, if you want a comma between it, you already know what to do. We're going to need two separate concatenators. If you want a comma and a space, same thing, two concatenators. If you want a comma, space, and some wording, you already know what to do. You're going to have two separate concatenators with a single quote and whatever wording you want to see. All right? So I hope that makes sense. Remember, this is a hands-on course, so I want you to see what I'm doing. Sit back, relax, and watch what I'm doing. And later on in the course, once we download everything, I'll show you how to download all the software. Then you can play around with it. We're going to have a test later on at the course, and it's going to be a hands-on test. You're going to watch me do it, and you're going to do it on your own. Very, very easy way to learn